Hello everyone, welcome to PPC Roundtable's another episode. Today I am joined in again by Mr. Sandeep, our co-founder. Hi Mr. Sandeep, how are you doing?
Hi, Sami. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. So guys, today what we are going to discuss, we are going to discuss about day parting, and we have brought in a couple of data points to show you how day parting can be done, either manually or automatically, and what are the data points you have to look at. So we are going to look over all these and also going to show you how you can get this data point downloaded for yourself and prepare this data for you. So firstly, what is day parting, right? Mr. Sandeep, would you like to take this?
Sure. So basically, day parting, as the name suggests, it's parting your day based on the hours or a segment of hours, and then looking at the data that you are doing on a daily basis. So we could basically look at total sales at an account level if you are operating through Seller Central. At a brand or a account level, we can look at day parting, and also through advertising, sponsored product, we can look at campaign level or a portfolio level, and get an essence at a product level as well, that how our performance is at a every hour level. So Amazon is giving this data where we can look back, um, if we are downloading it based on, we'll discuss in detail, but yes, we can look at, maybe last 5 days, 10 days, last month, or maybe last quarter or last 1 year, that how our performance has been. So that is what basically day parting is.
Yeah, so let's look at some data, right? So this is a brand that is doing close to $500,000 a month, and they're into beverage niche. And what you can look at is the data segregated on each and every hour, right? Now, this is something that was previously available to only 1P vendors through Amazon Marketing Stream, but now it is also available in Business Manager. But there are certain ways you need to curate your report to get that data, and also for your Ads Manager data as well. If you notice, this is again segregated on hourly basis. You'll notice here as well. It is again on hourly basis, and you will notice few things here that the sales are not constant in all the hours, right? Especially because what happens with Amazon is the budget that we put in our campaigns that gets reset on midnight 12, right? And we have also got complaints from sellers that it's 8 a.m. and my budget is almost gone. So how to optimize those? Now what we're going to do is Mr. Sandeep is going to share some I think we have brought in three different brands with three different ad budgets so that we can show you. And the purpose for this is to make you understand why it is so important to analyze and optimize based on hour, and how you can do it manually, because a lot of softwares are available but some softwares are also expensive. So I think we can dive into right now into the data points. Yeah, Mr. Sandeep, if you can share the
Sure.
screen.
Okay. So before I go ahead and share my screen, if you have been watching the PPC Roundtable, I think it is time for you to, like and comment if you have watched us before. So do like at this point, because we can check in analytics if you have liked at this point. So that will help us. That will mean a lot. And second is, if you are watching it for the first time, then if you think this video gave you some insights and helped you, then also we'd request you to like and also comment if it was helpful. That way we can know if it is really working for us and for you, and we are able to offer values to you. um, Now moving on, I've shared my screen, and is it visible?
Yeah, it is.
So what do we see? We see the Google sheet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now, um, first is, at what point do you need to look at your data at an hourly basis? That is very important for you to know. If you are on Amazon India and doing about, I would say minimum 10 lakhs a month, maybe that is the point where this kind of insights will help you. Or if you're in Amazon US and you are doing about, let's say, $30,000, $1,000 a daily total sales, maybe that is the point where it will make sense to you. Other than that, if you are very limited with respect to your budgets, and you don't have enough budgets for advertising, where your ads don't run throughout the day, you have a limited budget, it won't be much helpful to you. And if let's say you are very aggressive with your PPC, then this is something that is going to give you a lot of insights, which we can look at. So we have got three different brands that we have downloaded this data for, and we are going to show it to you. So one of this, as we can look at that, this brand in a monthly basis do about 150 $170,000. So this is a month data. Then we've got another brand, which for a 2 month data, you can see this is for 2 months data, we do about 760. So that is about 350 370 400 a month in US, so $400,000. And then we've got another brand which is doing about only $8,000 $9,000. So since this is a relatively smaller account, and you may be having an account where you are not doing maybe into 100,000 yet like the other two, we wanted to include a smaller account as well to show you how you can make use of the hourly data that we can look at. But again, it is going to be very less impactful for you unless you are doing good numbers and have a good budget. But moving on, these three accounts we can look at, and we are going to go in deep and look at them, that how the performance is. तो सैमी, अभी क्या सीधा इन्हीं पे मैं एक्सप्लेन करना शुरू कर दूं?
हाँ, कर सकते हैं.
ठीक है.
Yeah, another thing
So
with
now,
for yeah, another thing for those who are watching, if you want to create this kind of data, just make sure to stay till the end, because at the end we are going to share exactly how you can download, what formulas you can use. So we are going to share how you can get those reports prepared for yourself.
all right.
Yeah, Mr. Sandeep, we can come back to the sheet.
Okay. So now, if you see, this account, the first account that you can look at is doing basically in a month about 170, a month, $170,000. So for them, what we did was we wanted to look at how their performance is at an hourly level, because unless we look at an hourly level, we wouldn't be able to identify which hour of the day is really contributing to their top line the most. So this data that you see is an account level, which we can download from Seller Central. So this is at an account level that we get this data. It's little, work involved in it in order to get this kind of a format, but it is, easy. So once we did that for a month to understand that, how is this account doing? So you can clearly see that early morning hours, not much activity. Okay, in terms of units sold, we are about 100 odd units, but then it picks up around 4 5 a.m. and it continues to pick up, and the highest peak is about 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 7 p.m. So these are the hours when the most of the traffic is coming. That is what the number of units being sold is telling us. So with this kind of an insight, we would know that if I'm limited in the budget, let's assume if this particular brand is limited with budget, then they can focus on only these 4 hours, or maybe if they have additional budget, they can focus on about 8 to 10 hours. So this kind of analysis can help us with respect to the focus that we can give to our brand. And then we would also know that about 9 p.m. onwards it drops. So 9 10 11, so those hours are not much activity order generating hours for this particular brand. So if they don't want to focus here, they could do. Or maybe there can be another insight out of this, is that possibly that they may are they are going out of budget for most of their campaigns, and as a result their business is dropping. So that is also a possibility. That could also be one insight that can be taken from it, where what we can do is we can look at the spend report and the budget report to see if it is actually the case. But this data is telling us some information. It is giving us some story. It's up to us how we interpret it. So that is the hourly. And same way we can also look at the data on a weekday basis, so that I would know which days of the week I need to ensure my budgets are there. For example, again, by looking at this data, we know for the fact that weekend is the time. So all the so basically they are in the category where it's a passion driven category, where people have to be a certain type of customers have to be there in that category. So those are likely to be shopping for themselves over the weekend, and that is why we can see that weekends the most of the business is happening, whereas weekdays we do have the business, but slightly lesser than the weekend business. So this kind of analysis can also help us to plan our budgets on a weekday level. Okay, where we would know that which days of the week we can be aggressive with the budget, and where we can take the budget back and slow down on the spending. So this is what we have in terms of total sales. And then if we move to the ads data for them, here you can, so you can see, let me make it in one thing. Yeah, so here you can see clearly that this is the advertising information which we have, specifically sponsored products only. So this data that we are looking at is a sponsored product data, but most of the time sponsored product is about 70 to 80% of our spend, so we get a very fair good idea in terms of hourly performance or our campaign. Now if you see here, we can look at our spend share, last column, and the sales share. This is giving us a clarity that when is my spend at peak. And I can clearly see that the spend is peak during these few hours. So these 6 hours we are at peak. And then sale wise also we can clearly see that around 4 p.m. and then 7 p.m. and then 9 p.m. In US. So that is when it is peaking. That is when we are getting the maximum business. So based on this analysis also, if we can see that early morning hours, if you see not even 1% of sale share is coming. So maybe the percentage of budget that is being spent, which is easily close to 7%, we could take that and maybe give it to the other hours. So we are going to explore those aspects as well. But this kind of analysis can help us look at hourly data and then also know our advertising conversion rate. What kind of a conversion rate do I have? What kind of a cost am I getting at an hourly basis? And the more data we have it for much longer duration, this data that we have is for March month. But if we have it, let's say for January, February, March, for 3 months, at a quarter, when we look at this kind of a data, then we would know, at a larger scale, what is the hourly performance for us. And then we can also do this analysis if we want to look at, let's say, just couple of days. So there are different accounts that we have where we want to look at, which are big accounts where we want to look at, every 2 days we want to look at this. Let's say if there is any slowdown or anything, or any strategic changes we want to do, any strategy we want to implement, that kind of analysis for 2 days also, this kind of information helps. Yeah, Sammy.
Yeah. Also, for those who are watching in the next parts in this episode only, we are going to also show you not only how to use this data, but also how you can set your campaigns on this day parting basis, and also how you can use manually all the things available right now, all the strategies, how you can utilize those and create campaigns that will be optimized on hourly level. So we are going to share all the manual steps that needs to be done after analyzing this data as well going forward in this episode. So I think this was about one account. We can also show another account which is at a launch phase right now, so that you can have a clear idea about how things can happen when account is a launch phase, because when account is a launch phase the conversion rate will be lower. So let's look over that account once.
Sure. So this is that account which is into the launch phase, where we can look at not much traction in terms of hourly business that we see. And this, mind you, the data is for 30 days. So that means from early 12 a.m. to 1 a.m., in that hour, in 30 days we could only get one order. There was only one unit that was sold in whole account in 30 days. So that we can clearly see with this data. That's how you interpret it. And then if we want to look at the peak hours, we can see that here where we have the darkest green, this is where we are getting the most orders from in a month. So again, with this kind of a strategy, we can focus. Again, we can decide which hours of the day we want to go aggressive here. Like for example, if we see it early morning hours, especially these 5 hours of the day, not much productive. So maybe we could restrict our spend here and give our spend to from here to here. Okay, all of these hours, some I think 14 15 hours. But then again, it slows down. Now it doesn't mean that it is not getting orders because there is no traffic. Possibly we are going out of budget, as we have discussed. So that is also one angle that we can look at using our reports, which we are going to show you how to identify that as well. So this is the hourly for total sales. And then same we have done for a weekday level to understand how the weekday performs. And here also it is possibly evident that towards the Friday, Saturday, Sunday we get most of our sale, and mainly other days, weekdays, we are not getting that kind of a sale. So this is basically a category which is into art and craft. So this is art and craft category, which is also something where people are passionate about, and they would like to explore things when they have time, which is usually the weekend, and that is evident here. And then we also try to look at the performance on a days basis in a month. So for example, for the March month, we could see that starting of the month we get on an average 7 orders, 7 units basically. And then in next 10 days we got 8, and in next 11 days we got 13. So basically we can see that this is the category where it's slow start and then it picks up, but it's just a month data. It will be difficult for us to say this for to be certain. I think once we have a few more months, then we'll be able to look at this and then plan our budgets accordingly. Okay, so that is the total sales. And if you look at the PPC data for the same account, we can clearly see here PPC wise also that the budgets wise we are there, early mornings not much. So these till 8 a.m. you can see that not much is being spent, and sale wise also nothing much is happening. It picks up around 10 a.m. So clearly a very a peak that we see from 2% to almost 8%. So this is where we can clearly see that the most action in the advertising is happening between 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So this is also another data point where we can look at and see, is there a way for us to restrict our spend in these hours and then allocate more budget during these hours. But since it is
Yeah,
in
yeah.
launch, we are
Mhm.
not making much of a changes as of now, but this could be one insight. Yes, Ami.
Yeah, coming down the same point. So now, if I just have to summarize everything for you, now you know exactly by preparing this kind of data, you'd know what to optimize or when to optimize. So now we are going to look at how to optimize it. What are the manual methods we have that we can utilize to optimize our campaigns on our hourly level? So, Mr. Sandeep, I think there are a couple of ways that has been in the market. If we just talk about bid, budget, and Amazon have their own rules as well, budget rules and bid rules as well. But obviously, they have some restriction because Amazon don't allow sellers to decrease the budget percentage. It can only increase, right? And we have also heard about bulk optimizations through bulk files, changing the bids. So we are going to come to the conclusion and narrow down two, three ways where you can use and how you can use that to optimize your campaigns on hourly level. And also at the end, I'm going to share exactly how you can prepare this hourly data for your account. I'm also going to share the ways how you can prepare this for you. We have made a complete video for that as well. So I'm going to share how you can get access to that. Yeah, Mr. Sandeep. So what do you think? Maybe a couple of strategies, if we just come and narrow down to that sellers can use to do it manually, to do day parting manually.
Right. So there are different ways that can be, once we have the data, once we have the insights, then the action part, there are different ways that we can explore. One of them is once you have identified, let's say that a certain hours of the day is where you want to focus more on, or you want to restrict your budgets on. So one is very simple way of doing is manually through you can come to your campaign manager and make changes. So that is one way of making things, changing things, but that is very prone to human error. Plus it involves you to make the changes every day, because that is how this will come into effect, because it is manual. So one way is like manually getting into the campaigns and then changing it. So of course that is one way. Second way is the bulk operations way, where you can go to campaign manager, go to bulk operation section, download the bulk file, and have one bulk file for the just the budgets. So you can have just the campaigns where you decide what budgets you want to keep at, when you want to change. Let's say I want to change the budgets at 10 p.m in the night. So whatever my campaign budgets were at 10 p.m, I'm going to restrict them to bring to bare minimum. And then let's say 8 a.m I want to increase it again. So again I have another bulk file for 8 a.m where increased budgets will be there. And that way every day at 10 p.m upload one file with the reduced budgets, and then 8 a.m upload another file with the increased budgets, so that you can take care of budgets that way. So that is one way of restricting it with the budgets. Bids
So
is
basically,
something that
you have
if it's,
two templates. Mhm. Yeah, please go on.
yes, I mean.
Yeah, so basically, you have to prepare two templates. One that will have the optimized budgets that you upload, and another to again change back what was previously, right?
Yep, that's correct. So but again, it's a cumbersome approach, prone to human error. You might miss it someday.
Mhm.
Even if you upload it, it may error out on something. So again, it's like first step only where it is difficult to do it. Then with bids, it is more complicated. Bulk file, making changes with the bids is even more complicated, because bids are something that you keep changing around every day or every few days. You change the bids. Budget is still understood that you may not be changing as
Mhm.
frequently as the bids. So it becomes very challenging with the bids again. And then there is a third way of doing it, which is basically the rules that Amazon has introduced. Okay. So there are two kind of rules that the Amazon has introduced. One is budget rules and the other is bid rules. So we could utilize budget and bid rules, and using them we could take some control in our hand, avoid human errors, cumbersome approaches, and get maybe not the 100% desired result, but somewhat close to that. Okay, so what we could do is I could share my screen and quickly take you over all those rules. Okay, so now if you look at this campaign, so this is a sponsored product campaign. So here, if we go into budget rules option, okay, we can explore the budget rules that Amazon has introduced. So you can see already, in the past we have tried to explore these options using different occasions. But let me just create it for you afresh. If I go into add budget rule, okay. So if I go to add budget rule, and I know for the fact that the budget of this campaign, let's say for example, if I look at the campaign budget quickly to just see what is the budget that we have right now for this campaign. So if I go to campaign settings, I can look at it already has $300 budget. Okay, so I cannot reduce it using budget rule. So that is one important fact that Amazon has done, is that they don't have the reduce. We cannot reduce, we cannot do anything in negative, we can only push it further. So if you want to implement budget rule, you might like to change the budget to much lesser and then push it from there. So something like, for example, if I do it 30 and then I can take it forward. Okay, so something of that sort can be done. So you reduce the budget first and then implement a rule. So let's go into budget rule, add a rule. Assume that the campaign budget is 300 and I want to increase it, and I want to double it, I want to take it to 600. So what I can do is I can give a name to the rule, something like you can see already I've given in the past. So what I could do is I can make it 2x budget rule. That means I'm going to double the budget in for whatever my requirement is. So I can do this, I can keep it as a schedule, because two options we'll explore quickly. But let's say if I want to start it today, and I want to run it for a specific time. So this is very important, because hourly analysis that we have done, now we have found out that, let's say 8 a.m. my business peaks and then it slows down, assuming at 10 p.m. For example, these are the hours. So what I could do is I want to increase the budget from, let's say 300 to I want to increase. So what I do is I do 100%. So if I do 100%, it says 300 daily budget will become 600. Okay, so if I had let's say $30 budget, so what I could do is, if I want 30 to become 3000, or sorry 300, I can do 1000 increase. So that in that case 300 becomes 300, 3300. So you can push it as much as you want, and start slow. Okay, don't start with 300 and then put this budget, because it won't make sense, because you are very unlikely to spend $300 by in 8 hours only, unless you are in very competitive niche and your campaign is having very high bids and you have given a lot of budget. So it's always recommended, reduce the campaign level budget. Minimum you can have 10, you cannot have less than 10. So if I change then less than 10, then you cannot use budget rule. So minimum $10 and then push it. So if I wanted to push from 10 to 300, I could do something like this. So that way you can set up a budget rule and schedule it for the time. You can also do it based on a performance. Okay, performance is basically ROAS, CTR, CVR, all of these metrics you can choose, and based on that you can tell Amazon that whenever my campaign is at a certain level of ROAS or ACOS, push it, give it more budget. So that kind of also you can do. But since we are talking to hourly basis now, this is the option that we have. So this is the budget rule that we have. And then the second part of it is, once you have done the budget rule, is basically also to look at the bids, because bids may also play an important role. So same way we can do bid rules also. So that for that we have to get into any of the ad group, because bids are applicable at a ad group level, budgets are applicable at a campaign level. So I get inside campaign, and here if I go to bid rule, rule based bidding is here, add a schedule rule here. Okay, so let me say that. So now for bid rules, what we need to do is, for me to change bidding at a certain rule, I have to come to campaign settings and be at campaign bidding strategy. Here, add a schedule rule. So this is the bidding rule that we have. So this is going to change. Let's say, for example, again, I want to do the changes based on same timing that I have identified. Let's say it says 8, and then let me take it to 9:30. So these are the times that I have picked up. And then bid adjustment. If I want to increase the bids or keep a normal bids, I reduce my the actual bids and then come here, and I want to increase them by 50%. So I could do that 50%. Okay. Or if I want to increase them by 100%, I could do that. So and give this a name. Okay. Something like if I'm doing 100%, that means I'm doubling them. So I can give 2x bid rule. So something of this sort that I can give. Wherever I'm increasing by double, I can give it 2x and I add this rule. So this way you can make changes. But key here is, with respect to budget as well as bids, is start with as low as possible, because Amazon will not allow you to reduce it. So the key is to start with as low as possible and then push it even 10 times if you have to. Okay, that's the key while implementing these changes. Yes, Sami.
Yeah, I think another thing that we need to take in consideration is when we change budget, it doesn't impact sales so much. But when there's a change in the bids, it will impact in the what sales we were having. It will impact the sessions. It will impact the impressions. So that is something that you need to look at. So we have a couple of questions that you guys have asked us. So let's take few questions on day parting. Does frequent changes in campaigns affect total sales?
Um, I think it's more of a emotional answer than a logical or a data-driven answer that I can give. Personally speaking, I
Hmm.
think making a lot of changes confuses the system, confuses the algorithm. I think it is better if we keep it plain and simple. So avoid making a lot of changes unless you are making, pausing a campaign. Changing bid is fine. You want to change bids twice a day, 3 times a day, 10 times a day, that's fine. Campaign budgets also. But pausing, unpausing, out of budget, all of those things may is something that you want to restrict yourself to, and instead use rules, be it budget rule or bid rules. With that, because then for the fact that the changes will occur only 2 times a day. Okay, then you don't have to make a lot of changes, and you don't have to pause the campaign also. So yeah, I would suggest that instead of manually pausing, use rules.
Yeah. Let's take the next question. Next question is, does day parting affects organic ranks? So I think organic rank is a result of conversion rate. So if there is a good conversion rate, I don't think that it is going to impact ranking, organic ranking specifically, as organic ranking is directly proportional to conversion rate. So I think that is not going to impact so much. So moving on to the next question, should we use software to do it, Mr. Sandeep?
Well, of course, if you can afford it, then why not? But if you cannot afford, and you think Amazon is helping us to use the tools within the ecosystem of Amazon, I think we can still operate. We don't have to move to the external tools. Unless you have the budgets and you are at a level where you can invest on tools, then probably you could explore that. But the way I see Amazon making changes to the systems, the way they are, opening up, they're giving us data, they're giving us tools to operate, maybe not as good as at a external tool, but something on those lines. And I think it is worth staying within the ecosystem and learning it, instead of moving out of the system and using something else. And that's what we are doing. So we stick to the system and we see how much we can do within being in the system.
That's great. Now coming to the point, for those who guys who are waited, how you can prepare this kind of data. Firstly, the total sales, then the hourly ads data. What we have done is we have added a link to our blog post where we have added a video, complete tutorial on how you can download the reports, because this is a report that you can't get ready made from Amazon. You have to prepare it by some frequent data points that you need to put on sales dashboard, I mean business report. Then only you can achieve this kind of hourly data. So we have prepared that blog. You can just check the description and you will go to the page where you can see the exact video on how you can prepare this. Also, there is a link where if you're a brand, if you want us to audit your account, then obviously there's a link below. You can obviously schedule a call back and our team will reach back to you. So I think we had a really good discussion today, Mr. Sandeep. Anything you would like to add?
Yep. Yeah, I think we have tried to give as much as we can, and that's what our endeavor has been since since the day we launched PPC Roundtable. But and based on the like and the comments of the people, we'll get their feedback as well. So I think we are doing what we can, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever you feel, guys who are watching, whatever you have questions, make sure you put those in comments. And if there's any specific topic you want us to cover, because we cover very granular with the data backing up everything, right? So make sure you have those in comments. And if you have any questions, obviously you can leave those. And if you have any questions related to today's video or any past videos, you can obviously leave those in the comment, and make sure to subscribe to our channel. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again. We will see you
Thank you.
again in the next PPC Roundtable video. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.